And then for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So, Katrina, how would you explain kingdom of heaven in more detail?
In the Gospel of Matthew, the phrase kingdom of heaven is mentioned more than any other gospel. The other apostles use kingdom of God. But it's important for us to know that they are both the same thing, but it's important for us to know what that means. Because in today's gospel, when they talk about the kingdom of heaven and kingdom of God, they don't have a clear definition of what that means. And we all should understand what that means, not just have different definitions. Some think it's a kingdom of heaven that's in your heart. Some think that we're going to go to heaven and be in the kingdom of heaven. And some think that there is going to be a kingdom of heaven on earth, but after the tribulation, but some of us will still be in heaven and the Jews will go through the tribulation. I mean, I've heard all kinds of commentary about what they think that means. But for today's time, we're going to explain that in detail, what that means, so you understand God's purpose for us and why we should be looking forward to the kingdom of heaven here on earth. So for the past 2 weeks, we have discussed in detail a verse in Isaiah that says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. The government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting God, the Prince of Peace." Sam gave us some details to show us this was a physical thing that happened in the Old Testament, but it's a spiritual thing that happened in the New Testament. And last week, we also touched on the day of the Lord just a little bit. We'll talk on that more later. But it is a time when God's intervention to punish evil and restore order that's going to happen. And that judgment portion of the day of the Lord clears the way for the righteous reign of the Messiah. And even when I was going to church, traditional church, they didn't talk about this reign of Messiah. It was like, live good now on earth, follow God's rules, you go to heaven. There was no details of any type of millennial reign. But again, after my calling from God, I had to understand who he was, and that's when I learned about the millennial reign. When we go to verse 7 in Isaiah 9, it goes, "Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this." Now, it appears to me that many Christians in the U.S. are searching for the truth now, yet they are not discovering that truth in their local churches because people are not explaining, or even if they're not explaining, they don't know what that verse means. I even heard that verse after our last presidential election, it being used to explain that God's on the throne. Don't worry about who's president. That is not what they're saying, okay? Nothing about that. It's important to know that verse is a part of God's plan. And to be a part of his plan, you need to understand what that plan is. That means that the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, is something that is going to be established here on earth. This is not something that's going to be in heaven where we're going to go to and be there, because God clearly said that the heaven is his, but he did give the earth to us. This kingdom is going to be right here on earth. And the best part about that plan for me, the whole thing about the kingdom being on earth is good, but that he wants me to be a part of his plan. I'm striving for that becoming process.
Uncover the mystery of Adam and Eve's nakedness. Unravel the ambiguous connection between the Hebrew term for naked and the serpent's subtlety. Join us for this free mini-course and gain a profound new perspective on biblical Hebrew. TheExplanation.com/naked